Hey everyone, welcome back to the Incredible India podcast series. I'm Sam.
And I'm Taylor. Today we are taking a deep dive into a pretty extraordinary story. It's really this intersection of faith, forbidden trade, and, well, farming.
That's right. We are tracing the very first steps of coffee in India, and we're focusing in on one specific place, the misty, fertile hills of Chikmagalur in Karnataka.
Yeah, and this isn't just a story about a plant being introduced. It's really a centuries-old epic. We're talking about pioneering spirit, even a bit of agricultural espionage.
Absolutely. And it's a story about how a single, very risky act fundamentally altered a nation's economy and its culture.
So our mission for you today is to unpack all of this. We want to get into the legend of Baba Budan.
And analyze the unique geographical secrets that made Chikmagalur, the perfect cradle for this crop.
And then we'll chart the transformation from this tiny remote region into a global commercial powerhouse, one that eventually shattered a really powerful monopoly.
And the detail that holds it all together, the thing you can't forget. It all started with just 7 seeds. Okay, let's unpack this.
7 seeds. It's almost biblical, isn't it? And when you think about the economics of the 17th century, it was a profound act of defiance.
It really was. So our story kicks off in the mid-1600s with this figure, Baba Budan. He was a revered Sufi saint. And he embarks on the Hajj, which is the pilgrimage to Mecca. But while he's there fulfilling his religious duty, he's also, absorbing the world around him.
And during his travels, especially in places like Yemen, which was the hub of the global coffee trade, he saw its incredible power.
It wasn't just a drink, was it?
Not at all. It was liquid gold.
Yeah.
It was the absolute cornerstone of Arab trade. I mean, this stuff financed armies, it built empires, and it generated just immense wealth.
And because of that, the Arab traders they were fiercely protective of it.
Meticulously so. They knew that the only way to keep control was to make sure that no one else could grow the plants themselves.
That's the critical point, isn't it?
It is. The regulations at the time strictly, and I mean strictly, prohibited exporting any fertile coffee beans.
So they weren't just selling roasted coffee?
No. They would often parch or even boil the green seeds before they exported them.
Just to make sure they couldn't germinate?
Exactly. To ensure the plant could not leave their territory alive.
So when Baba Budan starts his journey back from Mecca, what he did was, it was a direct challenge to a global economic superpower.
A huge risk. He strategically concealed 7 coffee beans on his person.
And then number 7. Yeah. There's a significance there, right?
There is. It holds deep spiritual meaning in Islamic tradition, so it ties the act back to his pilgrimage. But there's a practical side to it as well.
He couldn't just grab a whole sack of them.
Of course not.
Yeah.
Impossible to hide.
Yeah.
But choosing a small, specific number like 7, it shows intention. And more importantly, maybe an understanding that he needed genetic variation.
Ah, that's fascinating. So you're saying by picking 7, he was likely getting beans from different, maybe more robust plants.
It's very likely. He'd be maximizing the chance that at least some of them would thrive in a completely new climate. He was essentially ensuring the genetic foundation for an entire industry.
A calculated risk that historically paid off.
It really did. He somehow navigated thousands of miles back to India with this living cargo. And then he faced the next big question: where to plant them. He chose the slopes of the Chandragiri Hills near his hermitage in Chikmagalur, and that secluded little spot that became India's first successful coffee plantation.
Okay, so this is where we need to switch from the legend to the science of it all, because it can't have been an accident.
No, it proves he picked the perfect spot. Whether it was through deep local knowledge or just incredible luck, he found the ideal microclimate.
And the type of coffee he brought? Arabica. It's notoriously picky, isn't it? It needs very specific conditions.
It really is. So what made these hills, nestled in the Western Ghats, the perfect home for this plant?
What was the secret sauce?
It's this beautiful blend of factors, a kind of natural slow cooker for coffee flavor. First off, elevation is key. The hills there range from about 3,000 to 5,000 feet. That high altitude gives you a stable, temperate climate, usually hovering between, say, 15 and 25 degrees Celsius.
And that cooler, steady temperature is what forces that famous slow ripening process, right?
Absolutely. If the coffee cherries ripen too fast in the heat, the flavors end up being, a bit sharp, less complex.
So slow ripening concentrates all the good stuff.
It lets the plant concentrate all its natural sugars and oils inside the bean. That's what gives you that premium, complex Arabica flavor.
Now here's where it gets really interesting for me, the local weather patterns. I read that Chikmagalur has this unique microclimate because it's so close to the Arabian Sea.
It does. Every morning, these thick mists roll in from the sea.
Like a blanket.
Yeah, essentially wrapping the whole plantation in a humid blanket. It acts like a natural shade canopy. It protects the delicate Arabica plants from the harsh, direct sun until the mist lifts later in the day.
That's a huge natural advantage.
It is. And then you have the soil. The sources all talk about this incredibly fertile red lateritic soil.
What exactly is that, and why is it so good for coffee?
Well, lateritic soil is fascinating. It's formed over a very long time in humid, tropical areas. The red color comes from high iron content. But for coffee, the key is that it's packed with essential minerals: potassium, phosphorus, nitrogen.
But it's not just about what's in it, it's about the drainage, too.
Exactly. That's so important. Coffee roots hate sitting in water. They're very prone to root rot.
Right.
This soil, often resting on volcanic bedrock in that area, has amazing drainage. The slopes help too, of course, but the soil itself holds just enough moisture while letting the excess run off.
And the water supply itself?
Right.
The monsoons?
The southwest monsoons are Chikmagalur's yearly blessing. They deliver somewhere between 1,500 to 2,000 millimeters of rain a year.
And the timing is crucial.
The timing is everything. The rains arrive perfectly to help the plants during their most intense periods of flowering and fruit development, right between June and September.
So once Baba Budan proved that coffee could be grown outside of Arabia, using these perfect conditions, the industry slowly started to take shape.
Right. His little garden, it was the first domino to fall. It shattered a major economic monopoly.
For centuries, the Arab merchants were the gatekeepers.
And they commanded astronomical prices. Once coffee took root in Chikmagalur, it was proof of concept. The knowledge that it could thrive elsewhere spread pretty quickly.
And that discovery fueled a global expansion to Java, Ceylon.
And eventually, Central and South America. The supply increased, and coffee became, well, more democratic. It became accessible to way more people.
But to go from a saint's experimental garden to a commercial powerhouse, that requires scale.
And that's where the British East India Company steps in during the late 1700s. They weren't just taking over existing plots, they brought industrial methods.
They saw the export potential.
They saw huge potential, so they took the successful Arabica crops and imposed systematic cultivation. We're talking precise planting, scientific pruning, pest management.
Formalizing what had been sort of intuitive farming before.
Exactly. This was vital for quality control, if you want to sell in the international market. They set up huge estates, which required huge infrastructure.
New roads, bridges.
All of it, connecting those isolated hills to coastal ports for shipping. And with that came the first formal quality grading systems.
Because if you're exporting to London, you need consistency.
You need consistency. So they introduced standardized measures for bean size, uniformity, defect counts, all of that. It really elevated the reputation of Indian coffee from the very beginning.
And the impact on the local economy must have been transformative.
Oh, completely.
Yeah.
The region shifted from subsistence farming, just growing enough to eat, to large-scale cash crop agriculture.
Which means land values went through the roof.
Skyrocketed. And it created whole new jobs, not just harvesting, but specialized work in processing, transport, trading. It was a massive influx of capital.
What's also remarkable is that the local communities developed their own innovative processing techniques.
Yes, ones that are still signature to the region, like the traditional wet processing method.
Can you break that down for us? What is wet processing?
Certainly. So the wet method, or washed method, means you remove the fruit pulp of the cherry almost immediately after picking.
Okay.
The beans go through a pulping machine, and then they're soaked and fermented in these big water tanks for maybe 12 to 48 hours. The fermentation breaks down any leftover fruit matter.
So the water cleans the beans before they're dried, and what does that do for the flavor?
It gives you a cleaner, brighter, often more acidic flavor profile. It takes more resources, more water, but it creates a higher quality, more uniform product.
And after that, they're dried in the sun.
Right. Carefully sun-dried on these huge parchment floors to make sure the moisture content is just right for export. This whole hands-on process just set the bar really high.
Which brings us to today, the modern legacy. Chikmagalur is still India's gold standard, isn't it?
Without a doubt. The traditions established all those centuries ago are what maintain its premium status today. They still grow world-renowned varieties like Kent and S.795.
And they still use those traditional, sustainable, shade-grown methods.
But they do. And when we say shade-grown, it's about mimicking a natural forest.
So not just about blocking the sun.
No, it's a whole ecosystem. They use a diverse canopy of trees: silver oak, jackfruit, to provide dappled shade. This multi-layered approach naturally controls pests, enriches the soil, and it keeps the temperature and humidity stable. It's what makes Indian coffee famously bird-friendly.
And the harvesting is still done by hand.
Entirely. Selective manual handpicking. They only pick the perfectly ripe red cherries. That's essential for high-end Arabica.
Beyond the farms, you have these huge cultural ripple effects. I mean, Chikmagalur is essentially the birthplace of the iconic South Indian filter coffee.
And the famous degree coffee culture. For anyone listening internationally, degree coffee is all about quality and tradition.
It refers to the purity of the milk, doesn't it?
Yes, traditionally it referred to testing the quality of the milk. The first degree was pure, high-quality milk. But it also refers to the first decoction, the strongest brew from the coffee filter.
And that slow drip metal filter is key.
It is. This strong, milky, sweet coffee became the centerpiece of daily routines, of hospitality, of social life across the entire South Indian peninsula.
It's just amazing how one smuggled seed can end up defining a morning ritual for millions of people.
It really is. And I think it's important how today's growers are so focused on environmental stewardship.
They're trying to preserve that original ecosystem.
That commitment is strong. Many states have organic certification, they have those bird-friendly programs, and they're very focused on water conservation.
How do they manage that, since wet processing uses so much water?
They have advanced systems now that recycle the processing water, often using natural filtration beds. It reduces consumption hugely. And they compost the coffee pulp, turning waste back into nutrient-rich soil. It's a circular economy.
And finally, the place itself has become a pilgrimage site for coffee lovers.
It's a genuine destination. Visitors flock to the Baba Budan Giri Hills. They can tour the historic plantations.
And even take part in the harvest.
Yeah, you can do cherry picking, attend cupping sessions, taste the different regional brews.
And it all pairs so well with adventure tourism. You can stay in these beautiful old colonial bungalows and then go trekking up Mullayanagiri Peak.
And get those panoramic views of the coffee plantations stretching out below.
It's just a profound story.
It is. Chikmagalur's story shows how human determination, one risky act of smuggling, when it's paired with the perfect geography, can fundamentally reshape a country's relationship with a global commodity.
It turned a few hidden beans into a centuries-long cultural and economic tradition.
One that continues to thrive today. It's a powerful lesson in vision.
So every quality cup of Indian coffee really does have those 7 seeds embedded in its history, a heritage that defined India's place in the global coffee landscape.
Indeed, it's a remarkable journey, and one we encourage you to explore further.
If you decide to travel to Chikmagalur or elsewhere in India, we have a recommendation. 5 Senses Tours organizes tours across India which are immersive cultural experiences. You can email contact@5sensetours.com. Note 5 is written as a numeral in contact@5sensestores.com, or WhatsApp to +919 845 677 446.
Thanks for joining us for the deep dive.
We'll see you next time.